Hello and welcome to Putting You on the Spot, the podcast that puts you in the spotlight. Today we have local rock band Indus Valley Kings with a crazy stoner rock sound, three-piece band. These guys are fucking fantastic. Let's give it up for Indus Valley Kings.
All right. Thanks.
Hey guys, I hope that was the proper intro right there. What would you guys classify yourselves as?
Yeah, stoner rock.
Stoner
definitely.
rock. Yeah. I think we deserve more than one clap, though.
Yeah.
Let's give it up for Indus Valley Kings.
Yeah, I mean, stoner rock itself's got such a vast array of like sounds from clutch to high on fire. So, but yeah, I think we'd fall into that category.
All right, yeah, you guys, from the stuff that I heard, really awesome, very
Thanks,
like
man.
psychedelic, out there, and even just being a three-piece, you guys sound much bigger. You have like a real nice tight sound, so
Thanks, man.
so it's pretty cool. So how long you guys been together for?
Oh, well, Danny and I met in 2018. We met online at a dating site, like we were just talking about before the show
Grindr.
started. Yeah, and then we put together the I guess the backbone of the band, and then Aaron came into the picture about 2019, right?
Yeah.
Aaron, was it 2019? Yeah.
Yeah.
So about.
I don't know who this Aaron guy is, but
Oh yeah. I don't know Aaron either.
John.
You know what? So while we're at it, I forgot. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves and your position in the band?
Go ahead, Jonathan.
Jonathan Leslie Habers, bass, backing vocals most.
Daniel LaFaro, drums.
Billy Frederick, guitar and lead vocals.
Okay, there you go. So so you guys have only been around for a little while with the new edition recently. I'm sure COVID hasn't made anything easier on that end, right?
I mean, I think it made, if you look at it optimistically, it helped us because we didn't stop practicing and we pushed it out and we got an album out
Yeah.
from that.
And
you
we've
know?
been able to write enough songs for album number 2.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So do you guys do all your own self-production and recording?
No.
So where did you guys record at?
We went down to Surefire Studios in South Jersey in Long Beach. A gentleman there,
Joe DeMeo.
Joe DeMeo, yeah. He recorded Monster Magnet and Overkill and a lot of other bands
All right.
of that genre. So, we went down there and recorded the entire album live. We just went back in to re-record the vocals because we recorded a scratch vocal. But we do all of the pre-production at my place, prior to going down there. So we did a lot of work for this album. We were definitely prepared when we went down there.
All right, yeah. It sounds it. You can hear how tight you guys sound. Obviously multi-track, but if you guys don't have it, you don't have it. I've heard, even in one of my old bands, we rushed to do an album together and we multi-tracked the whole thing. It still came out sounding like crap, in my opinion.
It's hard, man.
We weren't ready. We rushed it. So it goes to show your level of musicianship. Especially
Nice.
seeing as you've only been together for a short amount of time. So I'm assuming you guys just kind of click off the top.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well,
I played with John before, and just click, man. The rhythm section's got to click. And then first time we played together, we just clicked. And then the three of us it was just meant to be. It
There
was
you
just
go.
clicks, man.
As soon as I heard, as soon as I got together with Danny, as soon as I heard him hit the skins, I knew right away that this was, the drummer for me. You know what I mean? And I had some songs that I had already written, and I mean, he fit like a glove, man. It was, he was playing exactly what I had envisioned, And then we tried out a few bass players, and the guys were good, certainly, but we needed something a little different. And Jonathan came in, and not only does he have mad skills, but he's a great songwriter as well. So we added, and he can sing. So it was just a great third addition to our band.
There
I
you
think
go.
that adds a difference too, as far as like this stoner rock genre is having two vocals harmonizing almost like a Alice in Chains, but not yet grungy, more stoner rock.
Yeah.
I hate putting a label on it, but just what we play.
It is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I like the sound a lot. So like in conception wise, like what what kind of like inspires some of the music that you guys are doing?
Oh man.
Is it just kind of like, is there like bands you like and it's just like, and you kind of have just influences that you just bring together? Or is it like you sit down and it's just like, this is the direction we want to go?
No, man. Right? I think it just comes, whatever comes out of us.
I think
what
bands form you kind of, when you're learning, and it kind of points you in a direction. But like when we're playing, when you come up with a song, you just don't want to be, there's no written rule like, all right, it's got to be Stoner Rockstown and it's got to be doomy and
Nah, whatever.
you know, a song about weed or something. It's just whatever, you know, comes out, it comes out.
And sometimes what'll happen is I'll buy a new piece of equipment like that orange head over there.
Yeah.
As soon as I plug in, a song comes out. You know what I mean? Like it just you know, inspires me to get this sound. And sometimes I'll just wake up with a song in my head and I'll just sing it into my phone before I lose it. You know what I mean? Or with 1,000 Wicked Souls, that title came to me. I woke up, I said it. I was like, where the hell is this coming from?
And then John comes over the next day with
he's got the
lyrics,
old lyrics for it. So,
you know, and it just happens. Like, so, yeah, I mean, you know, you're a musician. Some songs are written, some songs just happen in the studio. And
sometimes we jam out too. We'll just jam out and we'll find some cool rhythms and we'll say, let's use that part for a song, you know, the next song we write.
Yeah, it's like a marriage. Sometimes some sex is scheduled. Sometimes some sex is just in the parking lot. You know?
Which is good, you know, because, you know, for everybody the process is different. But like, you know, it like for me, it always works. It just inspiration comes when it comes. And same thing, I have my influences that whatever I'm doing, they're just a part of me. And when I play, it's just what comes out is what comes out, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't think there's like, you know, there's nothing wrong with the other way around. Like if somebody's like, no, this is what I'm looking to do. But just for me, it's just, it doesn't seem organic and it comes off that way, you know, at least in my opinion.
Art, there's no, whether you're painting or whatever, there's no rules. And that's what's great about art, you know? So
it's just self-expression. In this medium, it's through music.
Yeah.
So speaking of which, lyrically and whatnot, like, you know, what's kind of like, you know, the directions your songs usually take lyrically?
Oh man, any different direction, right? You know, it can be about fantasy, it can be about real world events, it can be about personalities, it can be about life, love, pain, you know, all of it's there, man. You know, Jonathan writes too. And Jonathan, what would you say some of your topics are?
Well, the Wicked Souls was definitely about coronavirus.
Yeah.
But that's because you wrote the riff, so then usually I won't do something personal because it's not something I wrote myself. So,
Right.
Yeah.
And I wrote one song, but a lot of my songs are just too angry.
Yeah,
and
with Danny's, yeah.
Like, I don't think they would.
No, the method, right? You wrote
Yeah, the method,
the other
yeah.
ones are
Words.
just, I have a lot of like, you know.
Danny has a lot of poetry, and what he'll do is he'll send it to us, and then and some of it's pretty lengthy, so we'll, you know, cut it up. We can use one poem could be used for 3 songs.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So again, there's no chicken or the egg scenario. Sometimes the chicken comes before the eggs, and sometimes the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it helps that there's no egos here. We're just all cool with each other, you know.
Yeah, man.
So, which I like too.
That's real good. So before everything shut down, were you guys playing live at all?
We were, yeah. We were playing quite a bit. We were playing all over. And, you know, the shutdown, like Danny said, in a way it was helpful because we were able to practice a lot. A lot of bands we know didn't practice at all, you know, but it made us just tighter and tighter. And it prepared us for the recording, you know, of the album. And now, fortunately, you know, things are beginning to open again. So we have some upcoming gigs. We have one at the end of this month on the 27th, where it's actually an album release party. So
all right,
pretty
that's
crazy.
awesome. And where's that going to be? At Shakers.
On the 27th.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, even tonight, the show going on, you know, Gracious of Chaos, right?
In the 25th Mission,
25th
Sabbath,
Mission.
Bloody Sabbath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Bloody Sabbath, I think
Bloody
it's just
Sabbath.
Bloody
Bloody
Sabbath.
Sabbath,
Yeah.
It's sad because this thing killed a lot of bands. And
And
like,
a lot of venues, too.
Yeah, and I felt like I would say to them, I'm like, are we crazy? Because we're still playing live whenever we can. It's just, you know, I mean, I'm not going to sit there and ask for a lap dance from the bar people, like anybody near the bar. Everybody just stay safe. And I mean, everybody's shopping. So that's the way we did
We
it.
played
you
up
know?
in Albany last week.
Yeah.
Or maybe we can. Was it last weekend?
Yeah.
It was great.
That's
you know?
cool, yeah. And the places that have done it, they're doing it as best as they can. You know, people are going to do what
gotta.
they're going to do, but, you know, only so many people in, you know, come on, keep your distance,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And it's been difficult, but at least, you know, there's been, you know, some push to try to get back to normalcy first off, but people just trying to do the best they can and you know, and keep it going. Because, again, so many venues have closed. Like, you know, when we do finally open back up, there's like, you know, at least 6 venues I know of that are gone. You
Which
know?
was
Yeah.
sad, Revolution. That's the one around here that closed. Other than that, I think we've been pretty lucky around here.
Didn't Stereo Garden close too?
Stereo Garden.
Yeah.
89 North.
Well, 89 North.
89
we
North
just
is-
recorded a video there.
Really?
Yeah,
So they're
they're
keeping
open.
strong. I heard they were closing,
They're-
so I
yeah.
Hope not.
got misinformation.
No, yeah, let's hope not.
Yeah.
No, they're
Yeah.
hanging in there. They have like a church service that keeps them going. So.
Yeah.
All right, that's
Yeah.
cool.
And maybe in the summer they'll probably do a lot of outdoor things too. I mean, it's an
Oh, yeah.
adjustment. Nobody's
No.
had this is our first pandemic.
Yeah.
Really, I mean,
For our
nobody knew how to
generation.
adjust. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know.
89 North would be a bummer because they do have at least weekly, like the Seamless Scene Showcase, Maxwell Peters. They'll promote original music. Where Stereo Garden, you'd have to be like
National acts.
national
Yeah.
act
Yeah.
to play there.
And then if you do wind up
So-
getting signed on, like, there's always been the argument against, pay for play. And, for musicians, I know probably all of us here fucking hate it. Like, why should I have to sell tickets to get on a show? But at the
Right.
same time, I try to understand it from both perspectives.
Yeah.
As a club owner, that's opening up, you have a lot of overhead to cover. And so, the national act should be bringing enough people to come
Of course,
in.
yeah.
But, you can't guarantee that. So as local musicians, we help out by showing, hey, here's a reason why you signed us. We can bring in, some money too. So it's,
It's a hard balance.
Like Revolution did that and they closed down. It seems all the places that do that don't last.
yeah.
Yeah,
everybody
well, that's
hates
called
it.
karma.
Well,
Yeah.
they all lasted up until now.
Here's the thing though, like to pay to play, like you should know owning a business, advertise, promoting your own. Like if I owned a bar, I'd be promoting my own bar.
Yeah.
I wouldn't leave it up to the artist. I mean, yes, we have to get people down there. That's our part. But to pay to play, I'll go get a studio. I'll go perform at a studio and get 10 of my friends. Tell them to bring beer there.
Yeah, everybody
Yeah.
bring $5 in a 6-pack.
Yeah, that's
you
it. You know
got
what I
the
mean?
studio paid for the whole
Whatever.
night. Everybody gets to hang out and
Yeah,
drink.
that's it. I mean, I don't think that's right because I feel like it's taking advantage of artists. Whether you're a comedian or whatever, porn star or musician, whatever the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
I think feel like it's taking advantage in a way.
Yeah, it's and like I said, it's tough because I kind of understand the side
Yeah.
that they're coming from, but at the same time, like Stereo Garden, you're having national acts come through all the time. Like you really got to sign 4 local bands and tell them they each need to bring $400 to come,
Yeah.
get on stage for
That's not
20
right.
minutes.
Sometimes I think it's greed.
Yeah, I think there's that, and and they say, well, if you sell, we'll give you 30 tickets, you sell the first 20 that comes to us, and then anything else, that's profit for you guys.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's how.
So
we're
I do
getting
the
paid.
promoting for you. Newsday doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Like you pay Newsday to promote yourself.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I mean? It just
Yeah.
doesn't work out like that.
Yeah. So hopefully, after all this is said and done, we'll see things start to switch back around.
Yeah, I
you
hope.
know. And I think another problem is like Long Island, we're so condensed. There's like, for the longest time, there's every town's got like 6 bars, with anybody that's got a little corner is doing something. And, and so it's like, oh, come down to my show. Oh, what show are you doing? Are you doing
Yeah.
this show? No. Oh, what about this show? And it's like, oh shit, there's like 6 shows going on tonight.
Well, I don't want to hear like those people that are crying that there's no shows, and the next you know when it's up, they sit home still.
Yeah.
Don't freaking complain.
Come to Shakers in Oakdale tonight. They got great drink deals.
Yeah, man.
It's just like, yeah.
Come the 27th, I heard a good band's playing there.
Some
from what I
people are
heard.
just
3 good
lame.
bands.
So, so you guys have got a new album out. You're going to be putting a new album out. When do you think that one? You're going to have a quick turnaround on that?
Well,
The new songs are crazy.
yeah, the new songs are crazy. It depends on some situations that may be going on. There's a record company that may be interested in signing us, and if that does occur, which would be awesome, they have a specific schedule. So probably the recording will be later this year, and we'll begin to release a couple of songs before the year is up, and then probably push the album at the beginning of next year.
All right, that's
Yeah,
good.
so-
Congratulations. I
Thanks,
hope it all
man.
works out. That's
man.
fantastic. When somebody, one of us makes it, man. That's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will you guys be ready to go back on tour? You ready? Some
yeah.
people are a little too
No
nervous
way, man.
to
I
do
don't
it.
give a shit. I'll drink bleach, whatever I gotta do. I don't care.
No, I think you have to inject it. not-
John say I don't care. I'll inject it. Yeah, Trumpology.
Yeah, right.
No, John's safe though, right?
That's. Oh yeah, I'm fully vaccinated.
Yeah,
I got the
yeah.
sticker to prove it.
So I
There
can
you go.
spoon with
My
him on
guitar
tour.
case
I
over
don't have to
there.
worry. Yeah.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We're hoping that we can get on maybe an East Coast tour or something, or with some, support a couple of bands.
Yeah.
I mean, the dream would be to open for Clutch or somebody
Oh
like
my
that. That would
God.
be fantastic. you know?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and they started coming
Sayreville.
back around a few years
Yeah.
ago. So.
yeah,
Yeah.
so we'll see
Clutch
what
is
happens.
incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
England too, man. England loves us.
Oh yeah.
I might
get-
move there. Yeah.
All
Yeah, we're
right.
getting a lot of play in Europe.
I'm
The album's
like
getting a
kind
lot
of like
play
an
there.
Anglophobe. Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems like American rock and heavy metal does better everywhere else other than America.
What the hell, man?
I don't understand it. It's just, our pop culture has
Yeah.
shifted in a different direction.
I know.
Yeah.
In other countries like, even South America, Germany, and like, a lot of Europe, they're still into, clubs and EDM and all that stuff. But then there's also almost just as much of an equal love for like rock and
they're
heavy
very
metal.
open for it.
Yeah.
Like here, it's like they want like the radio crap. You know, I mean, not crap, but like because not everybody's crap, but
Yeah.
they know who they are.
There's a big stoner scene in Europe, huge. They have hundreds of festivals every year. Well, at least they did, and they really support the scene and they really appreciate it. So, so we're fortunate that that's our sound and people really dig it. So,
All right, that's
we're
cool.
excited
We're
about
building
that.
a boat right now to get there. So it's just using spare wood and pallets right now. So, but we'll get there.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, that's it.
So here's a question I always like asking. Out of the recording process and then playing live, what's kind of like, would you say one is you enjoy more than the other?
Yep.
Go ahead.
You go. I love live.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, not that's just huge, but like you could mess up. But like when you're in the studio and you're recording, time is money.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's no playing around.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I would play around live, but I'm just saying, you're not going to take a chance. You know what I mean? Or whatever. I'm just, if you break a drumstick live, you're like, grab another one. You might have to take another take now that the stick broke.
Mm-hmm.
It's not cool in the studio.
Yeah.
Live, it's like, holy shit, he just grabbed another stick. He's used his penis, whatever. But like in the studio, man, everything's got to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Or you lose money like that.
Yeah.
Everything's expensive.
Mhm.
So,
Well, even the studio process, like not even just recording, but even like the writing process and, sitting down in your home studios and stuff like that. The reason why I ask is because like, most people always agree live is always the best, but at the same time, that writing process, that giving birth to like, a new baby and whatnot, being in this, in the rehearsal studio or writing, it's like, they're two sides of like the same coin, but like, live, you get all that energy of the crowd, you get to perform what you're doing. And for me, that's like, my favorite part. But at the same time, sitting in the studio and especially with a group of guys, as a band, like having an idea and then bringing it and then somebody else puts their own little piece and it's just like a cake, it all comes together into this one beautiful thing. And like, maybe like, there's been times where I have a song and I have an idea and I'm like, oh no, this is what it's going to sound like. But then as everybody starts putting their hands into it, it's like, oh wait, it starts to morph into something else that, gives life to this beautiful thing that I never even, I didn't even think was,
it's a child.
Exactly. It's its own like, it's its own like excitement, like, oh shit, that riff's starting to come out. Oh, that drums, is kicking in with that. And like, so there's like that excitement. It's almost like, that first love kind of feeling, that butterflies. But then when you get to play live and then present that to an audience and get to have that exchange of energy, that.
Well, it's stages, like I thought you meant like recording studio, but like, rehearsal studio. Like I love practice because like
it's just, everything grows and blossoms. We record every practice we record, and then we email it to each other, and then we'll chop it up and pull out ideas that might have a weight, and sometimes we'll say, oh, well, listen to this section, or here's a piece, and then we'll just kind of, that's how the songs typically grow. We have a song coming up on the new album, Dark Side of the Sun, where we were just jamming, and then we listened back to the recording, and Jonathan was like, well, this section sounds pretty cool, and then we worked on that for a while, and then the next practice he came in with this sick stoner bass line, and then that grew, and it's just grown to this like song that came from nothing. You know what I mean? So that's what's great about the studio is the creative process. I thought you meant the recording studio,
always
which,
sucks.
Yeah, that's
recording always sucks.
Like the end result is awesome, but like doing it, it's like you kind of hit the stick on the wrong, and it's like
But it is great. It was great too because we had the opportunity to record live. So we were in a big room, and we were maybe 30 feet apart or so, but. We were all in the same room.
Gotcha.
So we were playing live. It's just we had headphones on like we do now. So we were actually able to capture the sound of our band live as opposed to, okay, lay down the drums, come back a week later, now put the bass line down, come back 2 weeks later, put the guitars down. That's not how we did it. We just went live. And what you hear on the album is what we sound
is
like.
actually you guys. That's actually even
Yeah.
more fantastic. And there's been a few bands over the past decade that have started, bringing that recording, style back, because that was how a lot of guys used to do it back in the day.
Sure.
Like Black Sabbath's first album, they all just sat in a room, recorded it, knocked it out in about a weekend,
Yeah.
And so, a few bands have been starting to do it, and that's real cool, especially for your guys' sound. That almost, I think, is perfect for you guys.
Well, John has said it, man. Like, you want the album, the sound, just like you play live. You don't want that, like, some people are like, oh, well, aren't you going to do when, Bill's doing a lead, you want the guitar on there with the bass? And it's like, no, what? The bass is the rhythm section. Why do you need the guitar? We have one guitar for a reason.
Yeah.
He's an awesome bass player, so we're fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then, because then when you do that, and you have this, like, overly full sound, which is fine, replicate it now.
Yeah.
Can't.
And then
then you have to use backing tracks, or then you have
I'm
to
not
change
doing
it up
that.
and be like, oh well, now I guess maybe we need another guitarist, but then that kind of will throw off the flow,
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is perfect, man.
Yeah, I've always had that argument. It's like, if it's not going to be there live, why record it? And then, other people are, oh, it's about the production quality and this or that. Like, one thing I can understand is, even if you just have one guitar, like, to get that full guitar sound, maybe, throwing 3 mics up on a speaker in different, sides, and then pan it left, right, center, or just re-record the same guitar track a couple of times, so that, like, it's always just slightly off, just to give this, like, big open sound. But still, you fill it by panning it left to right, but it's still always the same guitar track. Like, when you have a 3-piece band and then you got a rhythm guitar track under the solo, then as a listener, I'm like, oh, this must be at least a 4 or 5 piece band, and then you see the guys like 3-piece, like, what the fuck?
We just didn't want that. We wanted the sound, even recording wise, as close to analog as you can and stuff like that. So that's what we were. That's why, I mean, we used Sage as a mastering. Right?
Sage Audio down in Nashville.
they were good.
We sampled a number of different mastering services, and then we found this guy down in Nashville who really gave us. He gave the album, I guess, a little more bite. You know what I mean? It was just it sounded kick ass. So we really were happy with it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, mastering is a whole nother art in itself. Like, I do some recording and stuff like that, and then it's like, always, no matter how good and clean the mix comes out, it's like, it always feels like it's missing a little something.
Yeah,
like, when I'm
weird.
doing, like, a multi-track recording or something like that. And so my buddy started teaching me some, like, mastering techniques, because, like, doing an open room jam and whatnot, it's got its own kind of feel, and it kind of, it falls into place. But then just with, I don't know how it is. Like, he showed me a couple of plugins, a couple of little things that just kind of, like, color the tone a little bit, bring up the decibels, but all at an even thing. And just with a couple of things in like 5 minutes, he could take one song and make it sound like fucking, take it from like a really good recording that you could throw out there to like an excellent recording.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, John's good with all that, man. And it's amazing. Like, the mix, like, Joe did a great job. Then all of a sudden, I was like, wow. And then all of a sudden, it mastered. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I want my own autograph. You know what I mean? I mean, not that I'm, but I'm just saying, it's like mind blowing.
Jonathan's old school, right? So he said we should probably try to get analog mastering. So he actually took the recording that Joe made and ran it through an analog player that he has, an old analog player, and recorded it and said, here, listen to this. This has like an analog feel to it. And it was so cool that we were like, okay, yeah, let's find an analog mastering service.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was good.
That's cool. Yeah, my buddy, he uses, it's a digitized version, but it tries to recreate that, like running it through an old reel-to-reel to like, add that extra warmth to it and whatnot. But it's good, don't get me wrong, and it can really step up the recording, but it's definitely not the same as, going true analog.
That's how.
I don't know if he ran it through a reel-to-reel, but whatever he did, it sounded it sounded great. It was analog tubes and he used all analog equipment.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, because like, the digital technology, it's very convenient, and it's definitely come a long way over even the past 5 years. The way they can capture IR responses, impulse responses of like an amp. Stick a SM57, some condensers around the thing, shoot some frequencies through it, and then they can get an algorithm of every frequency that speaker can possibly actually send out, and they can digitally recreate it. But it's still always just a little too perfect,
clean,
a little
right?
too
I was gonna say, it's
crisp.
perfect.
Yeah.
So,
We had
Yeah.
the one guy, and he like mastered.
He's famous.
Yeah,
Thousands
and
of records. Thousands of records.
like platinum record, and we got it back, and it was too clean. You know, like
And it still sounded heavy, but it was just
fragile.
it just yeah,
I guess you
it
could
just
say.
Like almost overly compressed.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
And John don't play games, man. When it comes to that, man.
for engineers, it's you know there's the new school, there's the old school, and a lot of the old school is disappearing because now everybody's seeing like, oh yeah, this recreates a tube sound, this recreates this, and it does. It's a lot better than it was. Like I said, even like 5 years ago, it's gotten a lot better, but it's not just there yet.
Yeah.
You know, but for the convenience of like, you know, wanting to record like a demo in your room, there's plenty of great guitar plugins. There's great drum programs, and even like Get Good Drums I like to use. They create like, you know, they take sample triggers and stuff like that. They mic a drum kit to the teeth. They get every hit just like precise. So
That's
like it sounds
crazy.
like you're in the room. The only problem is, again, it's the perfect hit every time. So one of the things, like I use Cubase, and within Cubase they have a great interface for the drums where you can change the velocities and the volumes to give it almost that human element, so it's not the same exact hit. You know, you can have one hit like at a full volume and then crank it down so it sounds like, you know, you just kind of miss hitting it just a little bit. You can quantize it to set everything into like, you know, just offset just a slight bit off the click and stuff like that. So again, it's coming a long way, but it's like it sounds almost too perfect.
Yeah,
No
I
matter
hope
what
so,
you-
because that means I'm going to be unemployed. That might not be good. I don't know.
So it's coming a long way, but yeah, we should all be scared because they do the same thing. They have bass programs now where you can just, you know, you type
That's
in
nuts.
your chords and stuff like that, and it automatically pumps it out for you, and it sounds pretty close, but you know,
Well, a friend of mine uses, what is it, Garage Days? Garage
GarageBand?
GarageBand,
Band. And he records all his bass, drums, guitar, and vocals in his house, and they don't sound bad at all. They sound really good. I was like, holy cow, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
But nothing. The one thing that it can't capture is the feel. I don't know. Maybe this
Yeah.
is a little woo woo, but like I can tell the difference between electronic and you know and analog. You know, so
Yeah,
to speak.
yeah.
Even if it's being captured digitally, there's still like you're putting some soul into that. You know, and
I
then when it
agree.
becomes too digitized or overly compressed, that's when whatever frequency that's in there that comes from the heart, that's when it starts to disappear a little.
Yeah,
bit.
I agree. It's like a real woman and a real doll.
Yeah, right. Those things are getting creepy, man.
I know.
They're too real.
I think they now fight back and everything. Yeah, it's crazy. So I was thinking about buying one, but I don't know. I got to see, because who's going to clean it and stuff? I don't know.
That's
Doing a lot of research on them.
Nothing could be more depressing than having to clean one of those things
Yeah.
up at the end of the day.
And like my kids come over and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm cleaning your stepmother. Can you step out? And like, come on.
Oh my god.
Oh, I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, it's fucking
That actually,
fantastic.
something weird happened like that to me. Not like I ordered something on Geek, and they sent me an inflatable doll,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't order that, and I was opening it in front of my daughter, and it was a face, and she just looked at me in so much shame, and I was like, this came to
the
it's
wrong
not
house.
mine.
The wrong
Yeah.
house.
And then I'm like
This is for
trying
Jonathan's. I got it for Jonathan.
happy birthday, and then I'm trying to get rid of it, and I'm afraid like the garbage man again, so I'm cutting it up like a serial killer into like little pieces. I'm like, the nipple and the areola gets cut in 4 pieces like a pizza pie, and
Oh, that's too funny.
Let's talk about music.
Yeah, well, the comedian Bill Burr had a whole joke about that. Like, you know, back in the day, you got caught one of those. You had to move to another state. You had to drop
Yeah,
everybody's phone
man.
numbers. You had to just go.
I mean, I have no shame. I'll buy a fleshlight. I don't even care. I'll even ask for one for Christmas for my son. I don't care. But the inflatable doll is a whole another level, man.
Yeah, that's another level.
That means
of
you're
blow.
alone. Yeah. Fleshlight, I look at it as practice. Tennis players play by themselves against the wall. I'm practicing. I got to keep up. You know,
Yeah.
that's it.
So, okay, we'll get back to music here. So you guys have, like I said, a very awesome sound, very out there. Like, as far as tones and stuff like that, you know, like, how do you guys find, like, some of your sound?
I don't have the money or the resources to be like, you know, trying to find my sound. I bought that a long time ago. My bass, $800. It was the best sounding bass I had in the room, and now I get every fucking thing fixed on it to keep it going. And I got my SVT, which is a quality head and nice warm Ampeg tone. Fender basses, Ampeg amps. I think, I'm all about,
That's your thing.
as long as they're, not
Yeah, as long
too
as I've known you've always
modern.
been rocking the Fender basses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got a great tone. That guitar is 1980. That amp is
It's a EDSG, right?
yeah, the Gibson SG. That's an
Mm-hmm.
80s SG. The Mesa Boogie amp is probably from the early 90s. The only
Is that
thing,
solid state or tube?
that is tube.
Gotcha.
No
okay.
solid state here, man.
Yeah. All right. All right.
And that orange head, I just got it maybe
crazy.
a year ago. It's got a great sound, especially when, fused with the boogie. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? So that's the tone I like. I've been trying to find the tone that I've been, hearing in my head for a long time, and I think I finally found it. So, and sometimes, if I play live, I often don't bring that guitar because it's, like a relic at this point, and these relics tend to walk away at shows sometimes.
Yeah.
So I'll bring like, maybe an Epiphone or something like that. I found one Epiphone that sounds pretty good. It's pretty close. It's still got a great stoner sound, you know what I mean? But at least if somebody were to, God forbid, walk away with it, I
will kill 'em.
I could buy another one. This one, I don't think I'd be able to replace that easily.
Yeah, that's it's a beautiful guitar too.
Thanks.
For anybody that's listening and not watching, you're missing out. Check out the video.
And I'm all about Evans heads and Aquarian on the bass drum. I'm a new Peisty. I'm sold on Peisty now.
Mm-hmm.
Never thought I'd say that, but I love them. Tama hardware, Tama Speed Cobra, and I use Pearl drums. I like them.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how they hold up.
All right.
Jury's still out on them, but they sound good.
And so why the Peisties? Like, what were you before that?
I was Zildjian and Sabian, and never in my entire life did I break like 95 cymbals. And with them, it's just like bad luck. Every cymbal I got would just break, and it's like technique. I'm like, I'm not, straight cymbal death metal guy. I'm not doing that. I'm broke. I have to take care of my stuff. And they kept breaking on me, and I got all heavy duty Peisty, and I just love the way they sound. And that ride, it's an obnoxiously large ride, but it just sounds like it's straight from hell.
How
Yeah.
large is that rod?
24-inch, man.
It's
That
gigantic.
thing is huge. I call it the Tommy Lee one, man. It's just because he's big in certain ways, and that's it, man. That thing is fucking huge. I feel like Pamela Anderson when I'm taking that thing in, man.
Yeah,
It's like,
and
holy
it
shit.
rings out like really nice. I was listening to you when you were setting up and everything like
Yeah.
that. It's got that perfect ping to it.
Well, I
It's
put
really
the
nice.
Meinhold made these little magnets that are amazing, and I just put the smaller ones on there, and yeah, it definitely now sounds like, because I do have a Sabian ride that I've had for over 20 years, and it's a no-name Sabian, and the thing sounds great. It's just I can't crash on it. I can't.
Gotcha, yeah.
That thing, I go through sticks like, now I think I found a company that's simply mind-blowing on sticks, Collision drumsticks from England, man, and I'm on one pair of drumsticks, 2 shows, 2 practices.
Oh yeah, Danny was breaking 3 pairs of sticks every practice. Seriously.
Yeah, like I'm on
Wow.
welfare because of that, and it's just because of the way I hit. And, I hit angry. I'm divorced.
Take it out on the kit.
Yeah,
That's what it's there for. So, like, as far as like all these different things that you guys have to find your sound, was there anything that you did to find a sound for the band, or is this kind of your individual things? It comes together and it really just works that well together.
Yeah, I think it was just the 3 individuals came together and we all had our own sound, and it just works well together.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
yeah.
Because when I'm playing with different bands, I try to because I've played with everything from like pop punk bands to death metal, and depending on the band that I'm in, I've always kind of manipulated my sound to the band, and I've learned over the years that wound up just not working out. So now I focus more on just finding my sound, what I want to do.
Yeah, 'cause it depends on. I mean, if you're a studio musician, that's fine. But when you're in a band, you just kind of met. Because I auditioned for a band, and my friend's like, "Oh yeah, he's a good drummer." I couldn't even play 4/4 timing. I just was looking at the clock. I wanted to get out of there because I just was like, I just didn't want to play with them. It just didn't gel.
Yeah.
It just gelled immediately.
Chemistry is extremely important with musicians, and not
Without a
only
doubt.
that, outside of just the writing process and performing together, you guys got to get along, because especially if
we
you
get
want to make
along.
it, and if you guys are gonna go on tour and stuff like that, you're gonna basically be living together for weeks at a time. And there's been so many bands that were fantastic and fell apart real quick because they just didn't get along.
Well, I'm like really tiny, so I could sleep in like small spots. I'm like a cat, you know. I'll be the cook. I love to cook, so we got that straightened out.
Oh, you guys are lucky.
He's married, so there's 2 single guys, so we got that straightened out. All that's taken care of, so everything's cool.
So you guys are ready to go. That's awesome. So what? See, I need to write this shit down. I had a question about one of your songs. The vocal stylings. That's what I want to talk about. You guys have a really trippy vocal, style with the effects and stuff that you use. What brought that on? Was that like a conscious decision, like, oh, this is what we need to do, or was it just kind of one of those things you were just messing around, experimenting with stuff, and like, oh, this fits here?
Well, we kind of knew what we were going for when we went into the studio, that we wanted to have that kind of psychedelic feel with a little bit of echo and reverb, not like in-your-face vocals. And we wanted them down a little bit in the mix, so the music could stand out, and we made that very clear to Joe when we were in there, like he'd send us mixes and we'd be like, turn the vocals down, add more echo, do this, you know what I mean? So we knew that the sound we were going for. I think it's a bit of a challenge to sometimes recreate that live. You know what I mean? If you don't have a sound man that's willing to like work with you and say, okay, turn up that delay. Sometimes they're like, wait, that's too much. But, sometimes that's what we need. But, we're getting there. And I think the more that we, work with sound men locally, they'll be able to, if they hear our record before we go up, then they'll be able to say, okay, I know what you guys are going for.
Yeah.
But it was definitely, a decision that came over time. It wasn't like as soon as we got together, we said we need to have this vocal sound. I think when we were in the studio, that's when it really came clear,
Gotcha. And we were talking earlier about like using pedals and stuff like that. Yet some of the vocal effects pedals can be real finicky and real difficult to work with. But have you ever thought about getting like a small like digital rack mixer or something like that you could pre-program all that stuff in, even use it in tandem with like a house sound system where you can get some plugins on that and use it for headphones, if like because a lot of places, especially the smaller places, don't always have the best monitors and you can't hear shit. So if you got like a small portable the digital mixer, you can use that to, hey, this is for our vocal effects, plus we want something back, and then you can get all everything that would be mic'd and get it in in like an in-ear or something like that, so you can at least hear yourselves.
Yeah, I think we're beginning to experiment with that. I bought a pedal for the vocals. It's just really a distortion pedal because we have a little bit of grit on the vocals if you listen to the album, but we haven't really explored going there yet. What do you think, Jonathan? Is that something? I mean, an in-ear is definitely not. But yeah. I mean, if we could find the right piece, maybe. You know what I mean? We'll see what happens if we get on a tour. Maybe there might be somebody that has a level of skill that can do that for us.
Yeah, like I feel kind of let down. I always see the drummers with shit in their ears, and I'm like, I'm the only idiot. I mean, I'm not really a drummer. Like I don't like. I had one guy, Eddie from Monochromatic Black. He's an incredible drummer. He's like, you don't wear ear protection? I'm like, no. And I was like, oh God, because I blew out my ear.
Oh yeah, I have to. He hit so hard. I have to wear it. Something.
And then I don't know. The ones where they wear it, I guess when you're playing like the Garden, it's so loud. I guess you have to wear the stuff where it's like
just so you
down.
Yeah, just so you can hear yourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because where did we play? You said. The sound was great when you're out there, like when we were hearing other bands, but on stage, I knew we couldn't hear anything.
A lot of the bigger venues do that.
Yeah, sometimes you get lost.
Don't worry about it. It sounds good out there. That always kind of blew my mind.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
And then they put it up to 10 and go smoke weed. And it's like, well, I'll smoke with you at the end of the show. Just make sure we have good sound. You know, it's like,
monitors are really important, but a lot of places they kind of it falls to the wayside. Especially you say in some of the bigger places. A lot of the bigger places I played, it seemed a little bit better, but it depended. Like when with one of my old bands, we played at Stereo Garden, or it was the Emporium back then. We were friends with the sound guys, so maybe we got like a different treatment. But there's a couple other places we went that were a little bigger, and maybe it sucked, but also also in some of the smaller places there was no monitors whatsoever.
Yeah, it's like, thank God you practiced the songs, because it's like, oh, we were supposed to change there. And
Yeah. That's why, like, you know, I started, you know, when I've been doing live sound for a long time, and even if I'm doing a smaller place, I try to bring at least one vocal monitor, something, you know, because like when you're in a small spot, you don't really need much for, you know, for the amps. You're going to hear the amps, you're going to hear the drums and everything like that. And of course, out there, it's going to sound fine. But then, like, you know, you don't want the microphone ahead of the PA system because you're going to get a whole bunch of feedback. So, like, you know, this band, like, how the fuck are they going to hear themselves? And, you know, and then all of a sudden everybody's screaming, you're killing out your voice by the end of the show because you can't hear yourself. You're trying to hear yourself. And it's just this whole back and forth. And it's not that hard to just throw at least one vocal monitor up front. It's really not that difficult. Yeah.
I've seen, like, Ozfest reminds me, there was like 8 bands in a row, and it sounded terrible. And these bands, they're paying, right? They're paying a lot of money to get on that, or the record company's paying for them.
Yeah.
And it just sounded terrible, so they didn't have a chance. So I couldn't even be like, oh, that band was good. It just, and then as soon as like Black Label Society came on, it sounded perfect.
Yeah.
Same thing at Giant Stadium. AC/DC played and Anvil opened up. They don't have any of the sound equipment that the headliner has.
Yeah.
So then, but if you want to go out and support another band, have them on your tour, why not let them use your sound setup? Because you're screwing them over.
Yeah.
Everybody at both of those shows was like, well, this sucks. We can't hear anything.
Yeah.
So what's the point of even opening for them? It makes you look worse.
Yeah, it depends on the group of guys. Like just before everything closed down, I saw me and some friends. We saw Periphery, which is a fantastic band. We saw them at Brooklyn Steel, and they had 2 bands with them. I can't remember the first opening band, but the second band was this instrumental band from Australia, Pliny, and they are fantastic. And so, like, obviously, they still had everything was like backline. So, you know, Periphery had all their stuff like on the big part of the stage, and everybody else was kind of in front of them. But they had one sound guy who's Periphery sound guy for I forget how long, and they had like a huge like digital console and whatnot with plenty of channels, so everybody was running through that board. He worked on everybody. Everybody sounded fantastic. So
that's awesome.
But they're really cool guys as well, and they understand, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that happens. So Madison Square Garden, you said that show with the Primus, Ministry, Slayer, and then the Phil Anselmo's band. They all sounded perfect.
I mean, the sound guy could be an extension of the band.
Yeah. And sometimes they travel with multiple sound guys. I've seen that before, where I've seen, like, you know, in the sound booth, you know, you'll see 2 or 3, you know, mixing consoles all lined up. Every once in a while it looks cramped in there, and then other times it's like it's one guy, and, like, you know, the headlining band's getting, you know, 3/4 of the board, and then all 3 opening bands are sharing like 8 tracks.
Kind of sucks.
Well, you know, for me, it's important to be able to hear Jonathan, because, you know, we sing together, and we do a lot of harmony vocals and sing simultaneously in a lot of songs, and I find that if I can hear him, I sing better. You know, it gives me the confidence, and you know, I know the band sounds great when I can hear him. So, you know, it's really important to have him in the mix, you know, on the monitors. You know what I mean? You know, out there is fine and for the audience, but I need to hear him as well.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like Gregorian chanting. You need to hit that.
Well, that's where you can see the influence from the Pointer Sisters a lot with our singing.
Well, that's when you join.
I'm going to start singing, and, you know,
okay,
he's so shy that we're going to redo that.
Yeah, you guys work on finding the right harmony, the right pitch, and all that kind of stuff. Who sings the high notes? Who sings the low notes?
Well, it's interesting. It depends on what song you're listening to, right? And when we're singing together, we'll decide we'll try different things out. And like I said, we record every practice, so we'll listen back. We'll be like, maybe that didn't work, maybe that did. And Jonathan and I will get together and have just vocal practices where we'll just get our acoustic guitars together and just, you know, work on vocals. So sometimes not even play the guitars and just sing to make sure that the vocals are working. And let's take some chances. Maybe I'll go higher, I'll go lower here. And we do that all the time to see, you know, songs for the new album we're working on now. There are some songs where we haven't really figured out exactly what we're going to sing yet. You know, the music's pretty much done for the most part, but the vocals, you know, I think we still have some work to do on, you know.
I think that's really cool that you guys, it's not like, oh, he does this, he does that. You guys find where your range kind of fits in, and that's where you go with. and great that you practice while trying to do it. Practice playing and do it at the same time. I remember
Yeah,
hearing
I
a
can't be
story
there.
of Rush. I forget what song it was. They were writing it. They started recording it and everything. And Geddy Lee never sat down and said, "Oh shit, can I hit this register and sing these lyrics while playing the bass?" And he had a hard time with that song live every single time because of
it's
that
crazy.
thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The gold standard. Even if you're not into them, this is Alice in Chains. I think
Yeah.
just the vocals are so synced in with each other, so
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah. And
Yeah, they did a really
You know,
good
yeah.
job on
Even
it.
if you're not into the band, I mean, they're still. I mean, those
Yeah.
vocals are undeniable.
Yeah,
They're
absolutely.
The gold standard. Absolutely.
Yeah, and we've realized that
Yeah.
in many instances they're not actually singing harmonies; they're singing the same note, but since their voices are so different, it sounds like they're singing harmonies when they're not.
Yeah.
You know? So we're experimenting with that as
I
well.
didn't even know that.
That's cool. Yeah, that's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always had problems with that. In one of my old bands, we tried doing like a 4-piece vocal harmony in this in this chorus part, and I struggled with it because I've never been much of a vocalist, but it's just like, oh no, you got to hit it here, you got to hit it there, but the problem was it wasn't something that we thought about doing until we were in the studio, so that ate up some time and money trying to get
Yeah.
it. But once we finally hit it, it was fantastic.
I stay away from the microphone, man. No way.
Unless you're at the comedy club.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, you do comedy as well?
Used to. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Used to. I stopped.
He's good though, man.
Well, now you can do something in between songs, keep
yeah.
keep everybody
I'll
going.
do that. I'll do that.
So, all right, Indus Valley Kings, where can everybody find you and your music?
IndusValleyKings.com. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on Spotify. We're on Pandora.
iTunes.
Yeah. Is there an iTunes? There's certainly Apple. I don't know.
Apple. Yeah, Apple Music or whatever
Apple
it's called.
Music,
Yeah.
YouTube. We're on all of the platforms, but IndusValleyKings.com is the place to go, and there are links to everything else on that page.
All right.
The Facebook page is cool because if you scroll down, there's links to every station that's played us all over the world, over the country, and then you click on that, and then you find like 18 new bands from Austria or or wherever that you're like, holy shit, this band's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like almost like a dictionary, or not a dictionary, an encyclopedia of bands.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's cool that you guys do that too. That's different.
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
And you can buy our album on Bandcamp.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in the video description, we will have links to everywhere where you can find Indus Valley Kings. The last thing I want to ask is, where does the name come from?
We had kicked around ideas. Go ahead, John.
Well, I was just saying before we end, this is really cool you're doing this, man. I know it takes a lot of time and effort.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
So
you.
JT, thanks a lot.
Yeah, man.
And
Yeah, they
just so
do an awesome job.
Remember, I didn't forget, talk about just having the guts to play and support the music scene. We were at Even Flow in Bayshore. Our drummer didn't show up. You were there and you filled in literally last minute and just played and like locked in with us, and we
That's
played
awesome.
like a good set with him,
That's
literally
awesome.
on the spot. So
That's
I want to thank you for that, and I didn't forget that.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And so that's what it's all about, man. It's
That's
the local
cool,
community.
Yep, exactly, man. Get out there and play. Don't make excuses.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah, and the band name, the Indus Valley, is where where civilization began. Sumer and Indus Valley, the Indus Valley.
Yeah, we were kicking around names.
Yeah, we were kicking around names, and that's so cool. And the fact that they had running water and all, working plumbing, thousands and thousands of years ago.
Where Pakistan is now.
Yeah, Pakistan. Yeah, so it sounded cool. It had a great ring to it. A lot of bands, you hear 3 words. It kind of it rolls off your tongue.
And it's aesthetically pleasing, that IVK.
So now, we can use IVK, and that works really well too. So.
Yeah.
And my mother's side of the family is actually from there.
Oh wow.
No, they're not. It sounded good.
Oh,
I should have just left it.
you
but-
should have just left it. Yeah, you had me suckered.
Yeah. I got I'm blue eyes and I'm too peachy. So
You'd be surprised, man. You'd be
that's
surprised.
true. I was from the mountains.
The mountains. But yeah, no, when I heard the name, I thought it was a really cool name. I was like, I can't believe nobody
I
else
love
has
it.
thought to snatch that one up before.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
again, cool name, real cool band. You guys are going to do a live performance for us, so make sure to
we
check out the playlist to see a live performance by Indus Valley Kings here at the Wadio Studio. Again, thank you guys so much for coming
Thank
down.
you, man. Thanks for
Thank
having
you,
us.
man. Yeah.
And you
It's
all
been
take
great.
care. Have a good night.
See ya.